Welcome to the Look Good, Move Well podcast.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. Last week, we talked about fitness trackers and the utility of them. And towards the end, we really talked about what we get asked most commonly about, which is, what should I do when my fitness tracker tells me I burned 500 calories? And we kind of gave a solid answer to that, but it kind of is leading us to want to talk about that even further and unpack the concept of how we look at calories and how we should make decisions about the rest of our day based upon the number of calories that we think we're burning based upon the treadmill score and what the calories on the nutrition label say, etc. But do we have a quick banter topic before we dive into that? Anything that's on your mind?
Oh gosh, this is like the pop quiz banter.
Oh, the CrossFit Open. That's a good one. Yeah. So whenever this comes out, it is actually day one. Okay. Yeah. This is going to be during week 3 of the CrossFit Open. So who knows what's going to be happening at that point, because that's the last week of the CrossFit Open. It's a 3-week event.
How long did it used to be? 5 weeks?
It used to be 5 weeks, except for the inaugural year. I believe
that's a mouthful. Inaugural
it was 6
year.
Events. I think it was 6 in the first year. And the kicker of the first year was that they had a major database malfunction in the first week. So week 1 turned into a 2-week time period to input your score. So we all did that workout a number of times.
How many times did you do it?
I don't remember. I think I actually may not have done it a second time. I may have just done it once. I think the first event of the CrossFit Open ever was the double under snatch. Power snatch. So 30 double unders, 15 power snatch at 75 pounds for 10 minutes. I want to say it was 2010. You didn't need to do an open. 2011, I believe, was the first one. 11.1. 12 years ago. Look at that.
Yeah. Wow. Dang.
So event number 1 of the 2023 season was announced yesterday. That's where we're at right now as of live recording.
And we're going to try to get this up on social, but Marcus's throwback video to that workout was pretty impressive.
I dug it up. Yeah. It was a good year for me.
It's a good score you got there.
There were 8 of us that got to the point in the workout that I was able to get to. A couple, 3 or 4 of those individuals got further. So there's 4 people so the workout is a chipper, but it starts with a row, a 60 calorie row. And 8 of us got back to the row and finished a second round of 60 calories.
Yeah.
And then 4 individuals were able to finish with enough time of the rower to go and do a couple more toes to bar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ben Smith.
Rich.
James Hobart. And another person I can't remember.
BKG?
No. Might have been Noah. I think maybe Noah just finished the row. Nope. It was not him either. I know Gerald Sasser was up there because I just looked at it. Somebody had screenshot it today and put it on their social media and tagged me. But yeah.
So you were like tied for 5th that year?
Technically, I was tied for 8th.
Tied for 8th.
Yeah. I think that's how it worked. Or I don't know how. Whatever. I was 8th, but like there were people that I don't know. Maybe I did better than I thought. I was 8th on the leaderboard. Oh, because there was a time.
There was a split.
There was there was what's it called? A tiebreaker. Tiebreaker for some reason. Anyway, I posted. I sent the video on Vimeo to the team. I watched it, and what I was struck by the video was. I seem so calm, cool, and collected because you have to introduce yourself on camera. But of course, I was like totally, massive anxiety and stress.
That's the thing. I know you so well that when you were doing your intro, I was like, everyone's going to think that he's so chill right now. And I can see that he is freaking the F out.
No chill. No, zero chill. There's zero chill going on. And the other thing, as I watched it, everything I watched and I was like, okay. All seems pretty like that's how I would see myself pacing it. The part that I was very impressed with was my 30 power cleans. I did 30 power cleans at 135, and I was moving fast, and my power cleans were like muscle cleans.
I saw, yeah,
like,
you were not using your legs on those.
No, I was using my back, but no, I was like, damn, like that was fast. I did that part fast.
I was impressed that you used so much upper body on the muscle cleans, and then also it was very upper body heavy with everything else too.
Yeah, I guess maybe it was because I just came off the wall balls, and I don't know. Either way, and then I was also remembering the second row was like, I mean, there was no way I was getting off that thing and going to do toes to bar, but just seeing my, like as the time is coming to the end, like you got the support of people around you, just start to like go, you just dig deep for something, I managed to finish it. But yeah, that was a good day. That was the CrossFit Open that I got 2 top 10s in the world. It was my only 2 top 10s ever, and it was I was on a high for sure.
That's so
Major
cool.
high. Yeah, it was cool. And someone asked me if I was going to do it again. I was like, no. You don't go and you don't dabble.
We don't
you don't go dabbling.
We don't do that for fun.
No. All right. So diving into the topic, what's a question that you see or something you see on social media that just burns your bridges a little bit when it comes to this topic?
Yeah. I mean, I think the one that gets me the most is like, the idea that there could be any sort of practicality to getting on a treadmill and burning 200 calories because you ate something that was 200 calories. Right. It's very silly to me.
Yes. Yeah, I think there's I'm all for people having a way to call it understand relative quantities that they're eating.
Yeah.
And the quantity consequences of eating something, right? It's like, I don't think people need a reminder of this, but like, for example, it's like if you eat like a whole pizza, that's a lot of calories. Like, I think most people generally understand that. And that's not a bad thing, like you can eat a lot of calories and, maybe you offset that with your movement and your metabolism and other parts of your life. It's like, we don't need people to be like fixated on this. I don't want people to be fixated on it. But I've heard people say like, oh, like when I see a donut, I think about that's like an hour on the treadmill. Right. And is it worth it? Right. Which we're going to talk about why that's not totally an accurate measurement and metric. But I still like the fact that it's a way to sort of understand the consequence of particular foods versus other foods if you have a goal of trying to maintain a healthy weight. Sure. So it's like, hey, when I look at a donut, that's an hour on the treadmill. But if I look at a plate of broccoli, that's 5 minutes on the treadmill. Like, whether it's treadmill or it's elliptical or it's, that means I got to do 3 CrossFit workouts or I got to do 1 like, it's just another way of basically saying a donut has 500 calories and the plate of broccoli has 50 calories. It's just another, it's just another measurement in a way.
It is, but I think that the reason that I object to it is that it has a tinge of self-punishment around it. Sure. And that's what I think just gets into a whole unhealthy relationship between food and energy expenditure.
Yeah. I'm not discounting that.
Yeah.
But it's also not an unhealthy relationship for everybody.
Right.
Right. I think for a lot of people it is. There's a lot of people that they're like, that doesn't create a bad relationship for them. I just heard somebody the other day say this, like somebody who's, he's not in the fitness industry. He's like a successful business person. And he's like, oh yeah, like I just, that concept really helped him to just be like, oh wow, like, yeah, like that's a lot of work that I need to do in order to have that thing. And, some days I have it. But most days I'm like, oh, it's not really worth it to me. Yeah. It just creates a relative scale to think about, choices. But you're right. Like this concept of like punishing yourself for eating something that looks good, appealing, that you love, that, you had at a party, you had with friends, like that's what I want to to die. I don't want that
Right.
to be the thing people are discussing. And that's what I see, certain clickbait, thumbnail or title or hook is like stop eating this, I'm over here on the treadmill on my second hour on the treadmill because I ate this. And it's like, well, that doesn't really compute.
Yeah.
So it's like to dive into it, you might be able to, if you eat something that's 600 calories, a pastry, a treat, a donut, a piece of pizza, a really large piece of pizza, I don't know, however you want to slice it. Nice. The consumption of 600 calories from a source that you were like, oh man, you have some association with that as being bad. And the diet culture has kind of put that in the off limits category. Now you look at it, you're like, okay, now I have to go and burn this off. And anything that you indulge in is something that must be burned on the other end of the, day or in some other portion of your day. And this is where I really actually think it's important for people to understand, and I appreciate the concept of if it fits your macros. Mm-hmm. If it fits your macros is a movement, and it's kind of also loosely tied to the flexible dieting community.
Yep. Which
states that there are no really bad foods. There's just the quantifiable data of food, which is it gives you a certain number of calories, it gives you a certain number of macronutrients, and it gives you a certain number of micronutrients. And on the whole, what we're looking for is the balance of those things so that you can reach the goals, health, performance, and aesthetics that you wish to have. Some people are in the camp of, well, it really comes down to the quantity of food. So if you have certain macronutrients that you're trying to hit on a given day, you can fill those in, and if you hit those macronutrients, you're going to keep your body weight, you're going to keep the muscle mass that you want. You can fill those macronutrients however you want. If you have a piece of pizza, well, piece of pizza is predominantly carbohydrates and fat with a little bit of protein. So the piece of pizza is going to just fill up your, a good portion of your fat macros for the day. It's going to fill up a good portion of your carbohydrate macros for the day, but it's not going to fill up your protein macros for the day. So if you're a follower of that philosophy, eat your pizza and then go have some chicken breast, or go have a whey protein shake, or go have something that's protein rich and very lean. And now you're starting to get into balance. The other thing that I think is important about understanding, this concept of if it fits your macros is that, the calories that you take in, the calories that your body routinely burns in a day is the combination of everything that you do. And it's a combination of a lot of different variables. It's a combination of your metabolism, your baseline metabolism, called basal metabolism, which is determined by how much muscle you have on your body, predominantly. The second thing that your calorie burn each day is dependent upon is your activity, how much you move in a day. This is non-exercise. This is just walking up the stairs, fidgeting, going for a walk, getting in and out of your car, picking up your groceries, picking up your kid, cleaning the dishes. Like, the movement requires some energy. Next up is what's called the thermic effect of food. So as you digest food, it requires some energy to digest. And then maybe lastly is your exercise energy expenditure. So when you are actually in the gym, like how much energy did you burn lifting the weights and doing the cardio and whatnot? So of those four things, that's going to determine how much energy you output in a day, and how you balance that with inputs will determine whether you gain weight, lose weight, or stay the same. And it's not a day by day thing that we should be tracking.
Right.
It's a week by week or a month by month. It's longer periods of time because almost nobody burns the same number of calories every single day. There's lots of variability in there depending upon a number of factors that we just talked about. The thing that will be pretty consistent each day is your basal metabolism, but your activity thermogenesis, your thermic effect of food, the amount of exercise, those things will be variable. So there's going to be some like one day you're going to burn this much, the next day you're going to burn a little bit more, the next day you're going to burn a little bit less. You shouldn't be trying to chase those numbers down day to day. You should be trying to figure out what is my average every day over the course of a week and a month. And we can determine that in a number of different ways. But really, once we figure out what that average is, then that's what you're really offsetting with the food that you eat each day. You're not offsetting the one treadmill walk that you had on Tuesday. You're not trying to like figure out that equation. You're not going on a hike on Friday and being like, well, I went on a really hard hike, so therefore I need more calories this day. Or on the day that you took rest on Thursday, because it was your rest day from training and you just were around the house more, you'd be like, well, I'm not doing my exercise today, so I need to eat less. This is going to create so much variability in how much you're eating each day that it's going to be very difficult to create any type of rhythm, consistency, and structure to your diet and your lifestyle. And I really discourage people from doing that. I think it's finding what a daily structure can look like that matches what those averages are over longer periods. And if it fits your macros kind of philosophy, we determine what that general input should be to match our averages. And then you have the freedom to go and have the foods that you want that help fit that. You can't have pizza and donuts exclusively because you won't reach your protein goals before you reach your carbs and your fat goals. You can't just go and eat a bunch of chicken breast all day because that won't get you the carbohydrates and the fats that you need. And you don't have to eat pizza and donuts, and you don't have to eat chicken breast. You can eat any foods that are out there that will allow you to reach some of those goals. So again, that's sort of the bigger picture of what I want people to understand, and not look at individual events that are happening in their day, in their week, and think, how do I offset this? I had a big exhaustive day today. Okay, great. But that's one day in the entire month, and tomorrow you'll be back at baseline. And over the course of the month, that one day that you walk 20,000 steps likely won't have a big impact and a big change in your total net output for the entire month. So therefore, you likely shouldn't change dramatically your food on a given day to try and make up for it.
Right. And in our last episode, we talked about how the calorie count on your fitness tracker is not really that accurate, or there's no data at all to say that it is accurate in terms of telling you exactly how many calories you burned. I think that we want things to be accurate like that because we want it to make sense, and we want it to feel like we have control over those inputs and outputs, and that we can, if I just make the plan and follow the script with these numbers, then I'll get the outcome I want. But I think that it's also important to note that in addition to the calorie tracker on your fitness wearable not being accurate, there are other things that are not accurate too, such as when you get on the assault bike and it tells you burned 5 calories. Did you burn 5 calories? Ish, maybe. It's not accurate. When you buy a food that has the calorie count on the nutrition label, that nutrition label can be off by a certain percentage, even, and fall within the guidelines of the labeling. So
that's right.
It's not going to be accurate ever. And I think we have to come to terms with that emotionally.
Yeah. And accuracy, because we can't ever trust the accuracy of anything completely, doesn't mean that it's a futile effort to try and make change to your body.
Exactly.
You're absolutely right. Like I used to do a lot of steady state cardio in my CrossFit days, and a lot of it was done on the Airdyne or the assault bike and the rower, and it would tell me how many calories I burned. I would burn 900 calories on the assault bike in the morning or on the Airdyne, from an hour of doing intervals and stuff like that. And I had this misconception of like, oh man, I really crushed it with the calories. I'm going to go and eat a bunch,
Right.
I was burning a lot of energy, but it was certainly not a 1-to-1. The bike said 900, so therefore I would need to have 900 more calories today.
Right.
It's not a good pattern to get into. It's not going to arrive at, accurate data. You also made a good point, which is like tracking your food, like I'll get to why I think tracking is a good thing, but even if you're tracking, you might look at a food label and you'd be like, okay, this is how much I had of that. Those food labels can be off. I think there's up to a 20%, allowable error by the Food and Drug Administration. So the people that police those, you could be off by 20%. Also, if you're using like a fitness track or a food tracking app, and you pull up Apple, there's 20 different apples on there, and
one apple, medium.
Yeah, medium apple, which is 150 calories, and then medium apple of a different type is 175 calories. Like, well, which one's the right one? Which one did I eat? Which varietal is this? I don't know. There's a red one. I'm not sure what it was. So there's variables in how we could track and variables in how we could try and compute so you can start to see how it becomes very difficult on a day-to-day practice to be like, okay, I know exactly what I did and I'm going to measure it against this exactly. Like, you can't do that. You might be able to say like, okay, I tracked my calories exactly based upon this fitness tracker or this MyFitnessPal, and then I tracked my calories exactly based upon what my Whoop said and what I know my basal metabolism is based on this calculator on the computer.
Right.
And then there's maybe there's an app that tells you what your thermic effect of food is, and you add them all up and you're like, okay, cool, I got my numbers. But those numbers are highly suspect and highly inaccurate, and therefore we shouldn't be doing that on a day-to-day basis. Instead, the goal is to create a structure in your life that you're able to repeat with as much consistency and repeatability as possible, right? So the ultimate structure would be I eat the same 3 meals every single day, nothing more, nothing less.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do the same 3 resistance training exercise workouts a week, nothing more, nothing less. And I track that I walk 7,000 steps every single day, nothing more, nothing less, or maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, but on average every week it's 7,000. And that's your inputs.
Yeah.
And you do that's your structure. And it's the same in week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. Nothing changes. Beautiful. So with a structure that you can repeat over and over again with a high degree of consistency and accuracy, or repeatability, now you have all the data that you could ever need to determine how you're doing. And this is how people have great results with never weighing and measuring a single thing.
Yeah.
And without ever having to look at a fitness tracker.
Yep.
This is how 99% of Hollywood stars who have to get in great shape for movies get in great shape. They have the same workout that they do, and they might be doing 6 workouts a week. But then on the food side, they have somebody that gives them whatever, chicken and rice, chicken and broccoli, chicken and rice, chicken and broccoli, and then steak and asparagus. And that's their 5 meals that they eat every day. And it doesn't change. They're never adding any extra. They're not taking cheat days. They just do the same thing.
Stick to the plan, right?
Stick to the plan. And after 3 months of doing that, which is arguably extremely boring and extremely tedious and repetitive, but it's a structure that never varies, and they have all of the variables kind of in check. They arrive at this goal of looking a particular way for camera. Yeah. And then what do most of them do? Get the hell off that plan. Right. It's like the day that the scene is filmed, of Hugh Jackman looking like Wolverine at his finest. Yep. He's like, I'm off the plan. Yeah. I have 6 months until I film my next movie where I have to be ripped. And so, And so that's not to say that's how y'all should be approaching this, but you can create a structure and have enough consistency in that structure that works for you, and then we're not relying on day-to-day variability. We're not relying on how do I track this thing and figure out what I should do today. It's like, no, set a plan that you're going to follow for the month and keep as many things consistent. And then once you get to the end of the month, you know how to change the plan if you need to. Yeah.
And I'll also add that even doing around 80% of a good plan will get you so far, and also allow that variability in what you eat and your training schedule, so that when those life things come up, like I'm going on vacation or I'd like to have a nice birthday dinner out, over time you really get the hang of, okay, it's not that big a deal because 9 times out of 10, I'm eating chicken and broccoli for lunch. And I know that that's my go-to. And if I have dessert for dinner, it's not going to throw off the game plan.
Yep. Yeah, I think the 80-20 rule is something that people like talk about a lot. And I think that, it's based in a principle. What is it? The Pareto
principle. Yeah.
Which was not founded in dietary exploration and weight management. It's a concept of 20% of what you do produces 80% of the results kind of thing. So, and I think a lot of people just like to use that when it comes to diet. I think the reality is that if people want to make real change in their bodies, that the level of consistency that we're looking at, and I'm not saying if you want to maintain the body that you have, we can talk about this 80-20 level of flexibility and consistency in your diet. For people that want to make change, 80-20 often doesn't really work.
Yeah, you need to dial it up a notch.
Yeah, you need to dial it up a notch. And because I don't think people really actually know how to measure 80-20. Yeah. And to give you a good example of how you actually take 80-20 and apply it to nutrition, or 90-10, which I think is a bit more of what people should be aiming for. Mm-hmm. Here's what that actually looks like. There are 30 days in a month on average. 90-10 means you have 3 days a month where you don't hit your numbers. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. You can't go more than that. Yeah. And again, your numbers, back to where we started, can be arrived at you can arrive at your numbers a number of ways, right? Yeah. Having a donut one day doesn't make that day one of your 3 out of 10, 3 out of the month that is kaput. Right. Many people do that. They have a donut. They're like, well, fuck it. I already messed up for today. So I'm going to
have 12 more.
I'm going to have the whole box. Okay. That would turn that day into, a miss, but you can have a donut and then eat really well the rest of the day to hit your numbers. And guess what? You just had a 90% day. Now the next day you eat, let's say you eat the donut, or you don't eat the donut. You eat a cookie and you're like, oh, I was so bad. I'm not going to eat the rest of the day. And you undereat for the day. And you only ate you didn't eat all your protein for the day. Guess what? You just underate. That's missing your numbers. Right. That's a 10%er. Yeah. Because that 10%er, people are like, well, I underate and I'm trying to lose weight. So that's good. I'm like, you might think that way, but guess what? Tomorrow you're going to be really hungry, and that's going to lead to that's going to make it problematic to be consistent. So guess what? That was actually, we're going to label that as one of the missed days, because undereating and overeating, they end up complementing each other in a bad way over time.
Yeah.
So that's what it's hard to be like, I'm 80-20 every week. And, that means like every day I can kind of be relaxed about having the one thing. It's like, no. That's the wrong mentality. You can be relaxed about having the one thing any day of the week. There's always room for you to have a bag of chips if you want to have a bag of chips.
Yep.
But in the grand scheme of your diet and reaching your goals, these numbers that you have each day matter. They do matter.
Yeah.
And we know what those numbers need to be, not by looking at our fitness tracker, but by looking at our general structure and activity over the course of weeks and months. And so really stop looking, and this goes back to like the post that's like, hey, if you have this donut, then you have to get on the treadmill for this many hours. It's like, nope. Today you got to, if you eat this much and this many, this much protein, you're on track to your goals. What you want to eat for those numbers is up to you. And if you feel like you should avoid eating donuts, that's not wrong. I don't like to eat donuts often because when I eat one donut, I want to have more donuts, and it's harder for me to personally control quantity. And when I eat a donut, my digestion feels a little bit off, and I don't feel as energetic and as good as I want to feel. Okay, so that's my reason, but it's not because if I ate that thing, I know I'm going to have to go get on the treadmill for 3 hours. It's like, no, I can eat 5 donuts today. And then if I'm really disciplined about the other foods that I eat, I'll be fine and I'll be jacked. And that's why you see those fitness influencers who talk about the diets that they eat that are really low quality foods and really hyper palatable foods. And they look great. And it's like, yeah, because the science of it can work. It doesn't work for everybody though.
Absolutely.
Okay. So that's, did we get it?
I think we did.
Right on.
Yeah.
We got it.
Okay.
Thanks for keeping us on time, Nate. And we will see y'all next time.
We'll see ya.